My maid of honor duties cost me $3,000, but I wasn't in any photos. Then a groomsman asked me to skip the wedding and go to dinner with him. The bride suddenly announced I was her inseparable sister. My best friend since middle school asked me to be her maid of honor 6 months ago over expensive wine and happy tears. I'd been planning her dream wedding ever since. While she posted photos from dress shopping trips and cake tastings I somehow never got invited to. The rehearsal dinner morning at the country club started with me hauling centerpieces from my car, while Charlotte and 5 bridesmaids got champagne manicures upstairs. I walked in covered in glitter from an exploded decoration box to find them taking photos in matching silk robes without me, even though I'd paid for the one I never received months ago. Charlotte glanced over and waved vaguely before turning back to her photographer, capturing every moment for Instagram where I'd never appeared once despite coordinating everything. During rehearsal, I stood watching Charlotte practice her entrance with each bridesmaid getting choreographed moments, except when my turn came, she just said we'd figure it out tomorrow. The photographer kept positioning me at the edge of shots or suggesting I adjust the bride's train instead of being in frame because odd numbers ruined the composition. At dinner, my place card sat at the elderly relatives table instead of the head table where the wedding party laughed over Nashville bachelorette memories I'd missed because someone forgot to book my flight even though I'd sent payment first. Parker, the groomsman assigned to walk with me, found me sitting between Charlotte's drunk uncle discussing his 3rd divorce and her great aunt interrogating me about why a pretty girl like me wasn't married yet. He pulled up a chair and said loud enough for the entire room to hear that ditching the actual maid of honor seemed like terrible karma for a wedding that was supposedly about loyalty and friendship. Charlotte's head snapped around for the first time all evening, and she actually looked at me instead of through me. Parker surprisingly turned out to be a really good guy. He ran a nonprofit teaching kids robotics and had read every book I loved, while Charlotte always called reading boring whenever I tried sharing what excited me. When he asked about our friendship, I admitted spending $3,000 and all my vacation days on this wedding while being treated like unpaid help. My boyfriend wasn't allowed to come because Charlotte wanted even numbers in photos I wouldn't be in anyway. Charlotte kept glancing over from the head table where bridesmaids gave speeches about their amazing friendship, while the maid of honor sat discussing arthritis medications with relatives. Her brother delivered the toast I'd written because she'd said my public speaking made her nervous, even though I'd won college debate championships. Parker said something about how his sister would never let anyone work this hard while being excluded from actually celebrating, which gave me pause. The wedding coordinator appeared asking about tomorrow's timeline, and Parker mentioned he was honestly thinking about skipping the whole wedding since his +1 wasn't invited, and watching everyone celebrate love while alone seemed pointless. He looked directly at me and said, we should just grab dinner downtown tomorrow instead, where the actual interesting people could enjoy themselves without assigned seating that put the maid of honor with elderly relatives while random college friends sat at the head table. I said that sounded infinitely better than standing up there pretending everything was perfect, while my boyfriend sat at home because he wasn't important enough to include. Charlotte materialized beside us so fast she nearly knocked over Parker's whiskey with her aggressive arrival. She grabbed my wrist with manicured nails digging deep and announced loudly enough for 3 tables to hear that obviously her maid of honor would be at the center of everything tomorrow. Who else could possibly stand beside me on the most important day of my entire existence, when we've been planning this magical day together since we were 12 years old? The rest of dinner became Charlotte dragging me to every conversation and photo while keeping herself physically between Parker and me like a territorial bridezilla shield. She kept announcing, my best friend and I are literally inseparable, and she's basically my sister, to people who'd watched her ignore me for 3 hours straight. She insisted we leave immediately to review tomorrow's detailed schedule, even though I'd sent her a color-coded timeline weeks ago she'd never opened based on the read receipts. Charlotte practically shoved me toward the exit, explaining the maid of honor had critical responsibilities that couldn't wait another minute. Parker called out he'd see me at the ceremony tomorrow, and Charlotte's grip tightened enough to leave bruises. Actually, she'll be far too busy with her sacred duties to chat with groomsmen because being maid of honor means focusing entirely on the bride, not flirting with random men at my wedding events and trying to make my rehearsal dinner about getting attention from guys. In the parking lot, she spun around with tears threatening her mascara, asking how I could humiliate her by throwing myself at a groomsman when I should focus on her needs. I looked at her and said, he's gay, Char. You told him he couldn't bring his boyfriend just like you told me I couldn't bring mine, remember? Her mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air.